Welcome to the Week 9, March the 8th stand-up for Gray Area. We just had our build review today. It was pretty solid. We're going to go around, we're going to talk about what we worked on since we last met, what we're going to be working on, or actually not what we're going to be working on, but things that we would like to see improved in the build over the next sprint, and then any roadblocks or anything that we experienced over the entirety of the sprint that were not dealt with and overcome throughout the duration of the sprint. So,
Hi, I'm Nathan, the junior designer. What I've been working on recently was just trying to fix up the crash site, make the saucer look like it had a bigger impact, and having like the trails of it when it impacted. And also realigning some of the assets, since I was smoothing and texturing, or just smoothing out the area. A lot of them got sunk deep down into the terrain, so I had to bring them back up to the new area. What I'm going to be working on next is probably
not what you're going to be working on, what things you'd like to see improve, because we don't know yet, because we haven't done our sprint planning.
What I'd like to see improve, maybe the crash site being completely reworked to its fullest potential, such as like maybe trying to get all the assets and put it in certain areas where the crash probably had dropped assets. And I really don't know, actually. And then
Roadblocks that you encountered over the last sprint that haven't been completely solved.
well, all the roadblocks I had personally, which was just getting everything pushed that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks, that was recently solved, but as of right now, there really isn't any roadblocks.
Christian AVC, junior artist. This past week, I worked on just finishing up assets and trying to get them in the engine, the box one, and then finishing up the Gray's backpack and game UI template on that to show. What I'd like to see done, what I'd like to see in the build next is really just overall graphics quality, I guess. Like, there's a lot of polish that can be done that will immediately take it, at least visually, to the next level. As well as, I know a few of the programmers have been working on some pretty cool scripts. It'd be cool if we could implement a few of those.
Hi, I'm Kalana. I'm one of the designers, and what I've been working on was the first-time user experience. I created the document. For that'll be teaching the player all the functions that they will learn, going over them with Donald and Chase, and then having the two document turn into a PowerPoint. Each slide showing off the different functions and how the player will learn that certain function. What I hope to see in the next sprint is actually implementing the first-time user experience into the crash site and getting the crash site level completely finished, because we've been on that for quite a while, and that's about it.
Yeah, fellow Stanley Albert here. So for last sprint, I was working on retopping the spaceship, and then it turned out to be quite a pain. So then I started working on a new one, and then I also fixed the green on the texture, because before it was like a little too bright for it to be like a military green. So I went with one of the ones from the color palette. And then something I'd like to see for this next sprint is honestly just the general crash site completed. And then there's really no obstacles for me.
Tyler Harper, artist. I've gotten 2 different foliages done and a barbed wire fence. And then I'll be working on some more foliage after that. In terms of what I want to see added, just to get the landscape like fully laid out with all the foliages and looking good. And then in terms of like problems or anything like that, everything's good.
Hello, I'm Brent. I'm a programmer. I worked on some scene load logic this last sprint. Was able to get that in the build. Things I'd like to see implemented next would probably be the AI script I've been working on, and getting the user interface working and the cutscene loading. I noticed that in the build as well. No roadblocks.
One thing with the loading, we did have to change the game scene is now asynchronously loading, because the problem we were running into is the the terrain wasn't loading in time with everything else. So that's the fix we figured out ultimately for the problems Kylie was having building last night.
The Grey just decided to fly, and it doesn't quite have wings, so it didn't work.
Hi, I'm Jimmy, a junior programmer. So this last sprint I've been working on some more AI testing stuff and just helping Brant in any way I can with the loading script and the UIs and stuff. So I wasn't much help because of a lot of issues that I faced. So yeah, hopefully I can get those settled for the next one. And some stuff that I want to see implemented are the scripts that I've been working on as well. And nothing's really blocking me except for those issues that I said earlier.
My name's Travis, level designer. So last sprint I was mostly working on the crash site, trying to get the new perimeter up with the new assets, such as the barbed wire. One thing I would like to see improved is like everyone else is saying, is the crash site to get to the next iteration, finish up the outer perimeter, replace some of the soldiers with natural barriers and things of that sort. The only real obstacle that I experienced was like the whole situation with the terrain, and that whole fiasco. But other than that, I haven't experienced any other barriers.
Hello, Kylie Atkins. I am the art lead. As of this last sprint, I worked on a variety of things. I have to remember them all. So first of all, it was the paper map. So Travis and I kind of coordinated and I made a paper map that showed how we wanted to lay out our crash site after Nathan had fixed the terrain, since we now had a lot more available space to use since it's a lot flatter. Then I was doing a lot of lighting research, because ideally we would like to do another lighting pass and get the lighting up to a pretty nice level so we can go ahead and apply our post-processing effects to it at the end of this semester. I actually added, within the last week, I added quite a few particle effects onto the ship itself. So there's some fire particle effects, there's some smoke, they've even got some smoke coming off of some debris pieces. So that was quite interesting. There was a lot of kind of just messing around with settings and figuring out what looked the best. And then last night I made the build after we got all the problems with it figured out, and so I got to present that this morning. As for what I would like to see in the build, I would really like to see just the overall quality of our entire crash site just be brought up. So more texture passes, making sure all our assets look right and are placed correctly so they make sense and they're logical. And then I also want to try to do some effects on the foliage to make it look like it's somewhat singed or burned as the ship has crashed. But I think that's achievable with the team that we have and everybody working hard, so I'm pretty excited about that. As for roadblocks, last sprint we had, at the beginning of the sprint, we had problems with the Git repository, but we got that fixed. Didn't have anything until last night when we tried to build, or we just had a loading situation. We got that figured out, so as of right now, no roadblocks.
I'm Gary In, programming and animations. This past week, I've been working on trying to get the Grey's footsteps to play. Still working on that. This next week, also kind of hoping to find the old animation files so I can give those to our artists to clean up and make better. And what I really kind of hope to see in the next couple of things, good overall quality, and hopefully finally get that Grey's footsteps to play, even though I have no idea why they're not.
Because they don't want to play. That's plain and simple as that.
Feels like it.
All right, I'm Donald Chippis, I'm the team lead. I'll really quick to speak to what Lauren was working on. She was working on some textures for us, as well as trying to sort out some problems with the soldier animations. And she's just been working on that. I can't really speak to what she wants to see in the project or any roadblocks. As far as I'm aware, she doesn't have any major roadblocks affecting her right now. As far as what I've worked on, I spent a lot of time this week working with different members of the team, sorting out issues, getting things like the pushing problem solved and helping Kylie making the build. Something that I would like to see is there's really three major aspect areas I think that the crash site that the overall the game needs work on to bring it up to the next level. One being the animations for the soldiers in the gray. Two, pairing the soldier animations with their AI and pathing, so that way the enemies actually seem to move intelligently and are a threat but don't just insta-kill the player. And then also a texture pass to kind of unify all of our assets, because there's some pieces right now that they don't quite fit. Some of them, like for instance the cargo truck, its textures are pretty flat, so it could use another pass to make sure that it looks as it has the same level of realism that all of our other assets in the crash site have. And I think those three things will A, add a lot to the gameplay, and B, give us an environment in which to have interesting, or to have our gameplay actually be fun and the environment be to look pretty. Roadblocks on my end, not a whole lot. I'm done with that respiratory infection, so I'm good to go for now until somebody else gets me sick.
Did somebody say sick?
Overall, the build was very solid. We had a lot of it. You know, it's a solid step of progress, and honestly, the entirety of the production studio, this build had all solid build reviews. That was nice to see. And we'll take the rest of this day to do our sprint planning, do a proper sprint retrospective, and kind of get everything sorted and situated. So that way, when it rolls around to week 12, which this will actually be quote unquote a 4-week sprint because we'll have spring break in there. We should have another solid step forward, and then just be in the process of polish for the Greenlight celebration in week 15.